Okay, so welcome back to返學 DSE, and we are in the chapter 6. And first of all, we'd like to talk about the modes of nutrition. And for plants and bacteria, they will undergo the term called autotrophic nutrition because they can produce their own food and obtain energy. However, for people like us, that is the animals, we will undergo the heterotrophic nutrition. And within the heterotrophic nutrition, there will be three modes: the holozoic, saprophytic, and also the parasitic. So if you can remember this term, it will be very great. Otherwise, at least you will remember for us, we will undergo heterotrophic and we are the holozoic one. And then for human, why do we need a digestion system? Because in our nutrition concept, we have to break down the large complex molecules into soluble form, and then we have to absorb through diffusions and also active transport. And there will be five main processes: the injection, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and also egestion. And we will go over them one by one. And within our digestive system, there is an alimentary canal, which is like a track that the food is going from the mouth to the anus. And also there will be digestive glands. It producing digestive juice and also possible enzymes. And it includes the salivary glands, livers, and also pancreas. So let's start from the mouth. In the mouth, there will be four types of teeth: incisor, canine, premolar, and molar. And each of them will have their own specific functions. For incisors, it's for biting and also eating food. And for the canine, it's for tearing. And for premolar and molar, it's for crushing and grinding. These terms are essential for your exam. So remember, you can spell them when you are taking your exam. And there will be two sets of teeth in human. One is the mule teeth, and another one is permanent teeth. For the mule teeth, it will appear in the first 2 years of our life, and most of us has already get rid of the mule teeth, and we are all in the permanent teeth stage. Remember, it will not be replaced if damaged or loose, so prepare to protect them well. And let's see how the teeth are arranged in our jaw. So we will use a term called Dante formula. And for the Dante formula, we will only focus on the left-hand side or the right-hand side. So let's say we are focused on the left-hand side first. And then for this line is distinguishing the side and the lower side. So in this particular formula of the permanent teeth, it means that on the left-hand side upper jaw, you will have two incisors. So in total, for this is the left-hand side upper and left-hand side lower, and then with the other side here, so in total you have 8 incisors. So remember, you have 8 incisors instead of like 2 or 4. And also, how may you distinguish them? Another way is to always identify that you will have only 4 canine. So one on each side is the upper left, upper right, and also lower left, lower right. So you have to notice the difference between the mule teeth and also the permanent teeth. You may also notice that there is an absence of the premolar in the mule teeth. And for the structure of a tooth, it will be generally distinguished into 3 regions: the crown, neck, and the root. And for the outermost layer is the animal, and the animal is the non-living part and made up of mainly the calcium salt, which makes them the tooth is very hard, and it also protects the tooth. And later on, it will be replaced by the caninium in the inner part. And also how it is attached to your jaw is by the periodontal membrane. So if you have an infection in the inflammation of the periodontal membrane, it is possible that you will lose your teeth. And for the dentate, it is the bone-like structures, which is less hard than the embryo, but it is a living tissues, which means that you have to sustainably provide energy and also food to it. That's why you have the tooth cavity, it containing the blood vessels and also nerve fibers. It supports the necessary nutrition for the living tissues and also remove the waste possibly produced. And it is also containing the detector for detecting temperature and also pressure. And for the concept of digestion, we can generally break it down into 2 main concepts. That is the physical digestion. That is the breaking down into food into smaller pieces by physical actions, by increasing the surface area. So you may think of it like using a knife to chop yourself into pieces. And even though you may lose your life, however, you can still make all the things back into the one piece. So it's not changing to another substance. However, for the chemical digestion, is breaking down a food into small and soluble forms by chemical action and with the digestive enzymes, which means it is transforming into another stage, which means in the chemical digestion, after this digestion, you cannot reshape what you get. There will be three types of digestive enzyme because these are the three major polymers that we take in and we need to obtain energy from them. That is the carbohydrates and lipids and also protease. They are breaking down the polymers into the monomer form. And for the stage of digestion, the main concept of this slide is to remember that in mouth, stomach, and small intestine, there are both physical and also chemical digestion. In the mouth, everyone knows that there are chewing. However, there are also amylase in the saliva, which helps the digestion of the starch. And also, for the stomach, everyone knows that pepsin breaking down the protein. However, they are also crunching, with a physical digestion. And for the small intestine, it contains the BIOL, which is undergo emulsifications to break down the large oil into small oil droplets, and it contains enzymes to undergo chemical digestion. So let's start from the mouth. The mouth, we have teeth, so we talked about teeth previously, and it also has saliva. For the saliva, it's produced by the salivary glands, and it contains salivary amylase, which break down the starch into maltose. Remember, maltose is not a monosaccharide, it's only a disaccharide, and it also contains mucus, which moisturize and lubricate the food for east-west following. And how to move the food along the digestive tract is to by peristalsis is the alternation of contraction of muscles, which is like you have a lemon teeth stuck in your throat, and then you try to push it out with your fingers. So it's somewhat like that. This is the peristalsis. So leaving the mouth, we will enter the stomach. In the stomach, there will be two openings. One is the one near to the heart, is the cardiac sphincter. Another one is near to your small intestine, there is the parotid sphincter. And also it contains the gastric glands, which will protect the gastric juice. Gastric is the adjective for the stomach, so you have to remember how to spell this word. The pepsin, which is a protease to break down the protein, and remember it is working best in the acidic medium. So something must make the environment acidic, that is the HCl. So it provides the acidic environment for the pepsin to work, and also it kills most of the bacteria in food. However, it's only most, will mean not all. So that's why some bacteria may be able to survive and make you feel sick after all. And also in the stomach, you are also protected by the mucus, because with the HCl and also pepsin, it can destroy almost everything. And your stomach is also made up of protein. That's why it will produce mucus to protect itself. However, if you are sad and you don't want to eat, and then your pepsin and also HCl will digest your own stomach, which is not the best thing in the world. So remember, even if you feel sad and you don't want to eat anything, remember to eat something. And also we will create a lot of related experiment based on the pepsin and also the HCl. So remember, those related experiments can relate to chapter 4 and also chapter 6. And leaving the stomach, you will enter the small intestine. For the small intestine, it contains two parts. One part is the duodenum, another one is the ileum. Duodenum comes first and then the ileum. For the duodenum, it receives juice from liver and also pancreas. So it contains bile, pancreatic juice, and also intestinal juice. So let's focus on the bile first. Bile is a green alkaline fluid produced by the liver. Remember, bile is produced by the liver instead of the gallbladder. Gallbladder is only a place temporarily storing the bile and released through the bile duct. And it contains no digestive enzyme, but the bile salt containing will undergo the emulsifications, which will lead to the a breakdown of the lipid to oil droplets and increase its surface area. And then in the bile, it also contains the bile pigment. Bile pigment by itself is not related to digestion. However, it's the breakdown of the hemoglobin, and it is also excreted in the feces. And then for the bile, it will contain the NaHCO3, which will neutralize the acidic environment produced by the stomach and also provide an alkaline medium for the enzyme to work. And then for the pancreatic juice, it contains all three enzymes necessary to break down carbohydrates, lipid, and also protein. And for the intestinal juice, it will mainly consist of water, mucus, and sodium hydrogen carbonate. And for the enzyme, they are actually attached to the epidermis of the small intestine. That means that the enzyme in your small intestine is not really excreted or released to the food directly, but just attached to the epithelium, that's the surface of your cell. Then the enzyme here will be carbohydrate and also the protein. So there are two important points to note. That is, for the lipid, it is only digested by the physical digestion of the bile and also the chemical digestion brought by the pancreatic lipase. So which means that if your liver or your pancreas has some problem, and then your lipid digestion will be a big trouble. And also the digestion is completed in the small intestine, so it is ready for absorption. And for the absorption in ileum, the water-soluble form will be absorbed through diffusion and also active transport. So these are the basic forms which are ready to be absorbed. And for the water, remember that no diffusion and no active transport because the water is only drawn into the capillary passively by osmosis. That is down the water potential difference. And also for the fatty acid and also glycerol, it will first diffuse into your inner side and then recombine into the lipid and transported away through the lymph. And for the lipid-soluble vitamins, it will enter your blood cell through diffusion and then enter the lymph. So there are a lot of digestion and absorption related experiments, and they are using the dialyzing tubing. So remember why we are using the dialyzing tubing. And the examples are all explicitly noticed in your book. And there will be 5 adaptations for the small intestine for absorption. Remember, when you are answering questions related to adaptation, you have to state the features and then the functions. So here is a features. The feature is very long. Why? Because it is allowing sufficient time for the complete digestion and also absorption. And also your small intestine is highly folded inner wall because it increases the surface area for absorption. The small intestine is only one cell fat epithelium because it shortens the diffusion distance for food molecules. And also for the latitude and the network of capillaries can be found in the small intestine because it will carry away the absorbed molecules rapidly and it will maintain a steep concentration gradient, which is a concept in chapter 4. And then penetrosis will continue to go through in your small intestine. It will bring the food close enough to the villi and it will maintain a deep concentration gradient. And then for the absorption of large intestine, the things in the small intestine is now called the feces, and only water is absorbed in this part. But remember, most water is absorbed in the small intestine. If too much water is absorbed, which means it is too dry, then you will suffer from constipation. If the too less water is reabsorbed, which means your feces is too wet, and then you may suffer from diarrhea. And for the assimilation is the absorbed food becoming a part of yourself. And for the blood, it will enter the liver through the hepatic portal vein and then eventually enter the heart through the vena cava. And from the lymph, it will enter the blood near the neck region and then eventually back to the heart also through the vena cava. And here are the phases of the glucose. Glucose is usually used as a source of energy, and excess glucose is converted into glycogen in liver and muscle. And some of them will be also converted into lipid. And for the lipid, it is used to make a cell membrane and also hormones, and it also serves as an energy reserve. If too much lipids is absorbed, and it will be stored under your skin. And then for the phase of amino acid, it is to make the proteins necessary for the growth and repair, enzymes, antibodies, and so on and so forth. If you are really in need of energy, it is also used to break down to produce energy. However, it's only in the stage of starvation. And remember, for excess protein, it cannot be stored in your body, so it has to break down in the liver through deamination. So it brings to the 7 roles of liver. So for livers, it is involved in the metabolism of the carbohydrates, lipid, and also amino acid, especially for the amino acid one, because you have to break down the excess protein. And then for the liver, it also breaks down the old blood cell and then it store iron, and it also produce and store vitamins and producing the bile as we covered in the whole chapter 6. And finally, the liver is also responsible for detoxifications. That's why if we take too much alcohol, we may think it is a damage to your liver. So after all the things are absorbed, otherwise it will be leaving your body, which is the digestion. What is digested? That is the bile pigment, which makes the feces a little bit look round, and also the feces is temporarily stored in the rectum. So here is an extract of the HKEA document. You have to understand that the food required in the chapter 5, and then you have to go through the process of ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and also egestion in chapter 6, which means it is a big chapter in your Form 4 study, and you have to learn it well. So I hope these revision videos may help you, and I hope to see you soon. Okay, see you. Bye.